Good afternoon. I'm Jordan Roth. Thank you for joining us for DALLÄSTHETIC today. This is a podcast in Dallas, focusing on art in Dallas, artists in Dallas. And today we're speaking with Erica Felicella, who is an artist and creative force here in Dallas, and is also working with Cedars Union, a new project. We'll talk about what it is in a minute. That's opening and has taken on some new partners as of recently. So welcome, Erica.
Hello. It's good to be here, Jordan.
Thanks. So I haven't known you a little while.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember how, but it's been a good 10 or 12 years, I think. And I think you were first involved with ArtCon.
Originally, yeah, since 2005. I started as a volunteer and just kind of stayed involved until I became the executive director.
And you did that straight through till a couple years ago?
Yes.
Wow. And for those that don't know, what is ArtCon?
So Art Conspiracy was an event that was started for right after Hurricane Katrina, and it was just an experiment to see what artists and musicians could do when they come together and whether they could raise enough funds to give back. Because individually, as artists and musicians, we typically can't give a lot as one, but as a group, we can. And this was pre-social media. It was pre-all that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was at the Texas Theater long before Aviation Cinemas opened it back up. And about 700 to 800 people showed up. And we had our first live ArtCon-style auction and raised thousands of dollars. And we're able to give it back to the community, and been doing it ever since. It wasn't supposed to be more than a one-time deal, and now it's into its 13th year as an official nonprofit.
Wow, just so much energy behind
Yeah.
it. And the group has chosen a different beneficiary every year.
Every year, yeah, it's an application process, and a nonprofit is chosen that's in the arts in this region. And with that, they basically become the partner of Art Conspiracy for the whole year. And there's one big event that involves one large auction that involves 150 plus artists and at least three musical acts that are local. And the proceeds from that event go to that nonprofit. So the amount varies from year to year, but the organization's been able to give over $300,000 back to the DFW community.
It's really significant.
Yeah.
So aside from kind of your good works, let's talk about your good artwork.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, tell us about some of your projects.
So I started out as a photographer, and I dabbled in painting, which I learned pretty quickly is not my medium. And after being in photography for several years, I have this obsession with community, and there's only so far you can go while still on the wall. And I kind of wanted to dig a little deeper, and I don't know if you know this part, but all my equipment was stolen out of one of my studios, and my very next idea was an endurance performance piece. So that's kind of how I transitioned into performance art. I was thinking about it, but my first idea, I moved into my favorite practice, which is installation art and performance. And I like to focus around multiple ideas, community being one of them, the human condition. I like to make a lot of work about mental health and American society. And for some reason, I keep putting myself in containers. It's not intentional. It's just, I'm not in charge of what the brain does. The brain comes up with the idea. It's my job to facilitate the creativity. And so within that, I've done pieces that are about agoraphobia. I've done pieces about OCD. I've done pieces about American society obsession with going so fast. With that particular piece was called Visible Shell. I put myself in an acrylic shell for 48 hours straight, was on view for the community. Anybody could come by, and all I did was write for 2 solid days, all day, all night. It was Mother's Day weekend. I don't think my mom will ever forgive me for that.
Wow.
But It was live streamed, and people stayed with me all weekend. It was really a really powerful and humbling experience.
And what did you write?
So I did not predetermine. I don't test my work in
Yeah.
advance, so I didn't predetermine the sentence. So I'm really happy that the sentence wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
It was, to see myself, I went inside my own shell.
Oh.
And I wrote that on about 6 reams of copy paper
Wow.
and filled the box around me as a
So
as the time-
meditative.
Yeah.
A couple years, maybe 5 years ago, we kind of teamed up and you did a performance at Row 2 Art Gallery.
Yes.
And that one, I guess the premise was you were maybe on death row? Or
No, yes, I was a prisoner.
You were a prisoner.
And the piece was called Unburden. And basically, the concept is that we as people are containers. Emotions are held in containers.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to actually physically create a container that could hold human emotion.
Right.
And so the concept is that it would be imprisoned with me forever. So I wanted people to have an opportunity to unburden themselves. So the piece is to be experienced one person at a time.
Yeah.
And I respond with silence, just with a nod, so that people know that I can hear them.
Mm-hmm.
The system is literally a prison phone setup.
Yeah.
So I'm completely locked in, I'm shackled and handcuffed. And I have to hold on to those burdens for the rest of my life. I can't ever share them. So it's very humbling what people will tell you. And even when complete strangers will show up and just share their deepest, darkest regrets or secrets, or just something they need to get off their chest.
And so some of the things surprised you.
Yes.
That's really amazing. The construct of the cell and the phone there, I guess it kind of helps put people at ease because, now it feels sort of like an art installation, but then they get up to the phone and then it gets real.
Yeah, and some people couldn't even look me in the eye, but they would turn sideways. And the phone is so amplified that you could whisper,
Oh,
and I
wow.
would still hear you.
Wow.
So it's been quite a journey. I hope that I get to continue that piece for years to come, take it to lots of different places. But I had a great experience with you guys getting to do it.
Yeah, that was really something. I like that there's kind of there's an area where dealing with mental health and obsession and depression and all sorts of things are being addressed in art right now. There's another artist, James Talambas, who's working on a project.
James and I were just talking about that,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah.
it's really exciting. He may be on the show
Oh, wonderful.
to talk about that, but there are very few areas that can't be touched by art, and it's something that I hope to dive further into as this podcast continues. We've discussed some personal projects. Another, I guess, project of yours is just being kind of in tune with everything that's going on and connecting people. And was that kind of how you ended up working with Cedars Union, or what happened there?
My life has been an accidental journey. Basically, ArtCon led me to the Cedars Union because ArtCon partnered with the Cedars Union as far as space and the need
Oh,
for
right,
space.
yeah.
And as I stepped down from my tenure as executive director at the organization, Cedars Union came to me and asked if I would like to work with them. And I did, and I have been for about a year and 5 months now. And it's been, what a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really believe in their mission and the vision and the founders and where everything began, and I'm really looking forward to where it's headed right now. So it's kind of between that and I just have a community problem is what I call it. And so between my ArtCon connection and then just what I do in the community at large with the arts. Like you said, I like to keep in tune with things, and
Yeah.
very much you can find me sitting in a corner at a coffee shop having a conversation with somebody about anything at any given moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Virtually every day.
Yeah.
You have one of those.
Every day, yeah.
So Cedars Union is an interesting concept. I know of it kind of as it's down the block from the gallery,
Yes.
from our gallery in the Cedars, of course. And I followed it for some years during its development. And I guess now it's considered an incubator more
Yes.
than anything.
The Arts Incubator, it's the tagline underneath the.
And so how would you describe that? What does an incubator do?
Sure. So the goal of Cedars Union and how it works with artists is that you can either get space, or you can get workshops, classes, programming, or you can get resources such as tools and so on and so forth. But you rarely get all of them in one place.
Right.
And so the Cedars Union wants to facilitate growth through collaboration, through resources, through programming, training, and to take that all as one package and to help elevate a career of an artist, and to literally incubate it in hopes that it'll hatch into something new. And that's kind of the gist behind the name. And we have some criteria that the artists have to meet in order to apply to the organization. We are a juried studio process. And so we have some really serious artists that we're working with right now. Actually, our first 10, which is super exciting. They have started moving in, so getting ready for us to officially open our small space. So
That's really something
Yeah.
to have gotten that far and that quickly since first starting to jury
Yeah.
the group. Were you surprised by the level of interest and the readiness of that group of first applicants?
they were, what a humbled group. They were excited and ready and just really stoked about an environment that, this is not a traditional studio setup. This was designed with community in mind. So we have no doors, no full walls. Every studio, if you stand up, you can see the rest of the room kind of experience. And everybody was down with the concept. And so it's kind of nice because they're starting to move into the building. They're already starting to gel together. And I see great possibilities with the first round that has come in.
So you have all these tools available to them and computers, and what makes this different from, like, you keep hearing the term makerspace?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, how is it different?
So it's a makerspace offers things to make,
Yeah,
and we offer things to create your career. And with that, tools to make is just part of the step.
yeah,
So the difference between us and a makerspace, makerspaces are amazing, and we have one of the best ones here in the Metroplex. But the difference is that the Cedars Union gets to use the maker aspect as a tool
yeah.
to facilitate how we treat artists in the round. So it's just giving that extra level. So with your studio, you get the tool you can't afford typically. So it's not just, it's a combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very reasonable monthly rates.
Yes.
I guess set out so that to a degree it's experimental, and
Yes.
you wanted to be able to I guess take measurements and
Yes.
metrics and all of that because of the larger building next door.
Well, correct.
Yeah.
The concept is to grow, is to become much larger. So the space that we're in right now is exactly that. It's a proof of concept. One of the things I really love about that is about a year ago, we did a series of focus groups with artists to kind of tell them our plans and then, hear what they had to say. And we made changes based on what their feedback was. And we've been making changes even before the doors were open for artists. based on what artists want. And now that they're coming in, it's going to be a continued process. They're very much a part of this, the evolution of the concept.
Yeah.
And they'll be part of exactly that, the metrics, the measurements, the what works, what doesn't work, and we've kind of held back on some of the things that we were originally going to do, because the decision was, well, why don't we see if they want that?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a wonderful, wonderful approach and the artists they appreciate it, to be a part of a process, because we've all had studios where you get what you get, and that's how it is. And I've had many myself in the city, but to know that your voice matters and where a place is going to go, I think is something really special that the Cedars Union gets to offer.
And then you'll have resources beyond just the tools and
Yes.
everything else. Connect them with legal
Yes.
advice.
Actually, tonight, we start a new series. It's a 3-week series called Creative Business Foundations, and it's with Tom Madry. And he is a creative himself, was a photographer, still a photographer, and turned creative lawyer. And he's kind of the perfect voice for working with an artistic mind. And entrepreneurship is something that is a strong focus. It's something that we really want to share. Once you become an artist, you get out of school, and all of a sudden, or you've been practicing your craft for several years, but oh no, I'm a business.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do with that and everything? So we want to address taxes and IP and contracts and just fair use and everything around that. But we also want to bring conversations to the table that come through different types of programming as well,
Yeah.
artist talks, workshops, and I also am putting an ask out to the artists, like, what do you want? What do you want to hear? So it's a give and take, but we're excited about the fact that we work with Tom Madry, and we also have Arts Council Texas as a partner in programming as well. So we have them on Wednesday, so that's tomorrow.
And then, so aside from the residents, the 10
Yes.
residents, I believe there's a program, or there will be a program for other members of the art
Yes.
community. Has that been kicked off yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
So we will be accepting what we call shop artists. It's really a day use-based system, which opens you up to the programming, the workshops, the resources, just not the studio space. So it's a rate-based system.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with a group of 30, not all there at the same time,
Right.
we hope,
Yeah.
because we're dealing with a 7,000 square foot space versus the future home. And so our wood shop has everything that you would want to have and more. And we've got a PC lab and a Mac lab and a big vinyl cutter and
cool.
3D printer, and just all kinds of. We have industrial sewing machine, just stuff for as many mediums as we could possibly put into one building.
How do people train on a new industrial sewing machine or 3D printer?
Well, it comes down to community again. If you have a textile artist in the building, or another textile artist that's a shop artist, our hope is that they'll collaborate
Yeah.
together. Also, we don't right out the bat offer tool training. It's a use at your own risk kind of environment, but
And you're an adult, you should figure out how to
right,
use this before you
right.
use it.
There's all the
Yeah.
manuals are on site, and other artists have already asked questions
Yeah.
to other artists. So we did our due diligence to make sure we could get the best and the safest equipment out there, and everything comes with rules.
Well,
So,
of course, yeah. And so are there like 5 more slots? would you
Yes,
say?
we have 5 more studios left, and so the application window never closes at the Cedars Union.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we will keep a running wait list. The longest, we have a cap on how long an artist can stay with the organization. That's 18 months. I joke, but I say it's like mom We take you to 18,
Yeah.
and then we usher you on your way to hopefully the next level of what is the next stage of your career.
It's an impressive group. I don't have the list of them, and we don't need to go over everyone now, but I was pleased to see from that group of new residents, people from all different of the universities in the area.
Yeah.
Different types of work, from installations to painting to sculpture, metal, and not a whole lot of overlap. And you wouldn't normally see maybe those 10 people together.
No, and go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked us, they assumed that only painters would apply, or a very traditional medium to fit in this particular type of studio environment. And because I think we worked really hard to kind of supply, resources for a wide base of practices, I think that is showing results already.
Yeah.
In the fact that we have such a diverse community being built right out the gate.
And a dangerous group to a degree, I mean, a lot of people already know who a lot of these artists are, so
Yes.
that's kind of, it's exciting. In terms of programming for the larger Cedars Union community, and then perhaps even for the art community as a whole, are there plans to do talks or
Yes.
various programming?
Yes.
Okay.
We want to do collaborations too with perhaps galleries like Row 2. But we want to work with the neighborhood, as many cross collaborations as possible there. We want to do artist talks, specifically start with the artists that are in our community directly, and also building a wish list based on what they want to hear, what
Yeah.
they would find interesting, and then kind of building off and just giving a voice to conversations that we haven't heard yet, or just extend upon. So we'll have some programming that's open to the public as well, that just kind of keep a dialogue going, and connect the arts to the arts patron.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a void in that right now with the closing of, various organizations. And so I think that's good to have that. I keep thinking, though, it's amazing you've got a super group there, and they'll have all the resources they need, and then the ability to help kind of design a program. That's tremendous. I mean, it's really great. So Cedars Union, for anyone that doesn't know, is on, you're technically on South Irving.
Yes, we're
Yeah.
1219 South Irving.
1219 South Irving. So it's right there at the corner of South Irving and I-30. And it's a big building. Does it have any signs at this point?
We don't have signs yet.
Yeah.
We're in our own incubator space. So we're sitting in about 7,000 square feet right now,
Okay.
which is next to the larger building, which
Yeah.
is the historic Bodecker building.
Which, they made ice cream in there?
There originally was an ice cream
Okay.
factory, yes.
And then next door to you, you have Four Corners Brewery.
Yes, yes.
And then a couple doors down, you've got Row 2 Art.
Mm-hmm.
And then soon, a Mac project space will be
Yes.
opening over there.
Very excited
So
about
we're
that.
about to see a lot of activity
Yeah.
just in time for Aurora.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Which we're also excited about.
yeah. So Aurora this year is going to be based around Dallas City Hall. No, not Dallas. Yeah, City Hall.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
As opposed to the Arts District.
Yes.
And Aurora is this wild light performance phenomenon that happens every couple of years in Dallas, where you've got people traveling from all over, and as well as regional artists working with video and light, and then they project on all the buildings. Well, I'm really curious to see what they do with, Dallas City Hall and the
Yeah.
library and all these concrete, really kind
All
of
these brutalist period.
brutalist,
Yeah.
scary-looking buildings. But it'll extend into the Cedars and as well as some other places.
Yes.
So we're certainly looking forward to that. tell me, what else is, we've talked about the basics.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to leave us with?
Sure. As far as the Cedars Union goes, it's a space that I want people to keep in mind that is for anybody in creativity, whether you're a patron or whether you are a practicing artist yourself. As far as applications go, we wanted to make sure that all artists are welcome. So we didn't leave the self-taught artist out as well. So
nice.
the criteria, just so people know, for application is you have to have a BA, an MA, an MFA, or 3 years of dedicated practice. It is a juried process, and it kind of helps us like really handpick the artists that end up in the space. And be the reason we went with the jury process is because we didn't want to be the ones picking the artists. We
Yeah.
wanted the community to be doing it, and we didn't want to show preferential treatment to anybody in particular. And it's working really well. So,
I'll admit that I was on the jury.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was about to bring
No,
that up, and we have wonderful jury panel, and it's been an honor to have you, Jordan, as part of that process. So he's been around from step one
Yeah.
during this whole incubation
It's
period
been
of the
exciting
incubator.
to watch. It really has. And to see it come together. And a lot of my picks made it in, so
Yeah.
that was nice. So, yeah.
So stay tuned. We're getting ready to open our doors to the public. We're open for tours now. Just you can email us at info@cedarsunion.org and come visit.
Terrific. And so I think we've wrapped up the Cedars Union portion. We're about to wrap up. I wanted to point out that behind us is a wild exhibition called Chaos. It's our annual small work show. We are technically broadcasting from on-air media in Dallas off Convoy. However, through the magic of green screens, we're also inside the gallery. But Chaos is an interesting show that's done every year, where we invite over 100 artists, generally 120 this year, 135, to submit between 2 and 4 works each. They don't have to tell us how many they're bringing until they get there. We like to be surprised, and we like the weird frenzy that happens leading up to the show. But we had our opening reception on Saturday, and we're all still recovering from it. But the show does go on through September 8th. So I encourage, this is one show where I encourage really anybody that has any interest in art or thinks they might have an interest or just, an inkling to stop by, bring whoever, because, you're going to have different tastes, and we have a little bit for everybody. So it's a really fun show. Chaos is from now through September 8th at Row 2 Art in the Cedars, 1501 South Hervé. So, and then you can perhaps take a tour of Cedars Union if you get in touch with them.
It could be a Cedars afternoon.
It could be. We want to have a lot of those.
Yes.
We really do. Yeah.
We're getting close.
We're getting really close.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.